Welcome to Project Lightbody Podcasts. My name is Lisa Oswald. I'm the Awake channel for the avatar being Pleiadian Great Light, whose great light extends rays from the origination point of all life and transmits awake energy and universal light. I am so happy to announce the arrival of Book 3 in the Transmissions of Pleiadian Great Light Channel series called The Pleiadian Awake Channeling Guide to Healing, Lightwork, Angels, Beings, and Insight with Your Higher Self. It's available now on Amazon. This book contains all the instructions you need to gain insight with your higher self, along with stories of healing, the angelic realm, sentient beings, lightworker professions, pet soul communication, kingdoms of consciousness, and the Pleiadians discussing physics as it relates to awake energy and the light body. And energy-moving exercises are included too. And now, please enjoy my reading a few selections from Book 3. Editor's Note: the soul is broadcasting its own self-awareness along with a separate entity called the higher self. The higher self is higher because it is floating above your physical body. It is the deepest sense of self and moves information around and about you. Beautiful knowingness and the experience of your higher self are intertwined throughout this chapter with visualizations of the light body structure. We have a gathering here. What is this gathering in time and space? We can't always say for sure, but right now we'll just admire a new plane of existence that's here for all of us to really float on. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about floating on, floating around and in, and what it means to float your highest self. What that means tonight in the group here is a kind of floating of the highest selves joined together. When we have a gathering of two or more present in the same location, and this energy is moving out, then what happens is higher selves join positioning overhead, maybe not so much overhead, but in the sensation of floating. Higher selves work together now in this space to join and become one. It is easier to work with oneness when you have that sense of floating along with the higher self that's up there. Higher selves are free to float tonight together. They are all floating together right now in a kind of union that takes place sometimes when a gathering is all about energy. And that's what this is all about tonight. It's moving that Pleiadian energy space in such a way it can find a beautiful new opening for higher selves to float together. Floating together is the purpose of tonight. You can still ask some questions, but in this unique opening tonight, higher selves find the ability to be connected and floating at the same time. Everyone here is connected to their higher self through that crown chakra opening, through that big stretching out of the one long final cord of information and knowledge that's attached through all the energy centers, even from below the feet. It's stretching up through all the vibrational centers and working up through the crown chakra and is going forward, finding its own sense of floating up there. When we push on up there, it means that space and time is very open and accessible right now for all of us, for all of you to allow that higher self to climb a bit more up that cord. By the word cord, we mean the actual connective substance that runs through all the vibrational energy centers, extends way up above the crown chakra, and hangs on by a tiny thread to the soul. That opening in the soul projects the light of itself and is broadcast along with the higher self. The soul is broadcasting its own self-awareness along with a separate entity called the higher self. This is a little bit esoteric and practical at the same time. Knowing this and this part of the light body structure is very important so you can be alert to your own energy system on this level. You can have the ability to float along the silver and golden cord of that structure, of that very fine substance of energy that's full of your own uniqueness at the same time. As that energy travels from the feet and up through all the vibrational energy centers and enters the head, it carries with it some messages from the body as well. As it picks up messages from its home base or the body, it travels to the soul with more information about what it wants and needs. Because the soul is only recognizing oneness and not so much the multiplicity that exists in the body on the physical form, it drops off some of that which the higher self picks up then. The higher self becomes a receptacle for a lot of information. A lot of soul-gathering information gets dropped off in higher self for a good purpose, for the purpose of a stronger connection with your own soul that's more accessible because it's closer in to your own experience. Many people hear the voice of their higher self and refer it to somebody else, and maybe refer it to something very much outside of themselves. That's fine. You can do that. And you can also recognize it as part of your own energy system. That's fine too. It's all part of this universal energy system working its way around each body to prepare it for light work and a deeper appreciation of soul purpose and expression. Higher self is a fine point of communication that establishes a very strong connection for you between the levels of expression and expansion of yourself, which is more than what you think you are. You can reach into understanding and experience more of the subtle bodies you have brought with you, but always go through that connection point with the visually established expression we call higher self. Reach in to communicate in that way with the cooperation of higher self and speaking from higher self more and more. It's a balance point for communication. Without that balancing point, then it's just a cloudy mystery for all of this. If you want to know the truth about this and who you are, then we encourage you to find that balancing point. Our inner look is worth seeing. Our inner trust activates a kind of pathway that short-circuits the normal sensory modes out there and adds deeper looks in here. When that happens, a brave new world opens up in front of us. It's a world of light beings. We are in the realm of light. Some part of us has already engaged this light, this trust, this level of beingness, of being awake. Something's very special about this process of being who you are, that you came here without the reflection of what's out there. Physicists are theoretical light workers. Editor's note: this section may seem unusual in a book about light work. Just as scientists explore the unknown and seek to understand more, we as individuals can work to discover the unfamiliar within our own soul-lit existence. These challenging transmissions go beyond your typical subjects and ideas associated with light work. They present the mechanics of the light body and its connections with technical areas of physics, the big picture of creation, and the necessity of communicating our essential uniqueness, which is more than we think we know. Question: how does physics relate to the light body? Yes, bending is the critical moment. Yes, it's nice to notice the deepening laws of mechanics of light interaction, light activity, and light-producing energy manipulation. This is where we are headed with this. Question: what is the light body composed of? Light body is not composed. This is a languaging problem. Light body is not composed in the same way that molecules and atoms gather and structure themselves. Light bodies gather energy and refract themselves in a way that the purposefulness of the soul is moving across the planes of itself. That is why it becomes folding and unfolding. A great deal of momentumness is there to be released by the light, refracting and folding both. That is the part of the mechanics of physics that is waiting to be grasped very clearly. Lasering is getting very close and very pinpointed at that extension of the light body. The light body is very similar to a laser beam honing in on itself, on its selfless self. It folds back a picture and returns that information to the sender very clearly. A laser beam also goes out and extends that look deep into itself as it focuses light. That's exactly what happens. The returning impulse is precisely extended in that way. Physics can pinpoint movement. Physics is all about pinpointing the movement of light and how the extension of light refracts, bends, and creates the movement of soul light. It's very refreshing to notice that light movement is not only physically expressible, but knowable in the languaging area of quarks, subatomic particles, and light refraction of those beams of itself. That light becomes knowable and doable at some point as ourselves in the way that physics can understand it. We can cure all illnesses and all diseases. That is under that laser-like scrutiny of the eye of the light body. Physics leads us to a new highway on the medical frontier more than any others, such as lasering of helpful things in the body. Question: how do multiple dimensions fit in? Multiple dimensional beings, energy, light, and openings. Hopefully the word dimension at some point will be transposed into the understanding of tiny openings, like the ripple point that was taught in Book 2. That point, folding and unfolding, has to be an opening for that to occur. Even physicists know that, but cannot explain the spatial creation that is available. It is largely magnetic. There is some electromagnetism there, as well as the opening of gravity itself to know, notice, draw, pull, and be alive. The alive quality that is there as physics searches for its selfless self becomes that part that is engaging the look. As that particleization is processed more accurately, it becomes folding and unfolding. So physicists begin to appreciate openings in conscious planes of awareness. Openings are those tiny spaces that pull on us and allow for transmissions of light to fold, be open, and allow for information to pass easily from one area of energy or expertise in a certain area to another, so that free flow and harmony are also present. Those openings also create a deeper and wiser look at our selfless self. As much as physics would like to claim the languaging, more than likely they are going to use the language that the light body brings along that is actually paralleling the languaging of the light body. It opens the doors to study physics, and by physics we mean the study of light interaction to create energy and waves of knowing oneness, because after all, what would be the point otherwise? We want to know something from this experience. We want to engage some sense of the wisdom, of some deeper appreciation of the worlds, universes, and languaging of this. It is very important and critical for us to notice that the light body is just the refraction of conscious awareness on its selfless self journey to the opening and back again. There is a lot to recover in that journey and recovery process. It is what physicists are noticing as levulations of light. It is a process that will be very exciting to discover. Every levulation has its own movement, light bending abilities, and nuances of movement, so we can begin to appreciate where the light body might be beginning. Thank you, and if you are reading our books, please leave a kind review on Amazon or Goodreads and share with friends. Please visit us at Pleiadianchannel.com. Thank you for joining this Project Lightbody podcast.